Okay. So today we will read Adventures of Toto. The same lesson you had read in class 7. Have you read it or not?
Yes,
Have you read this lesson?
Yes, ma'am.
Just now I told you to reply me. Bolo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So there the name of the monkey was Tutu, and here it has been mentioned Toto. Some differences are there, but the story is same only, and the writer is also same. Can you tell me who's the writer of the story? Who's the writer?
Ma'am, Ruskin
Author
Bond.
of the story. Don't know.
Ma'am, Ruskin Bond.
Yes, of course, it is Ruskin Bond. Which stories of Ruskin Bond, stories or poems of Ruskin Bond, you have read in class 8? Do you have any idea about it? Anyone can try?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Granny climbing tree.
Yes, Granny's Tree Climbing is written by Ruskin Bond. He is an Indian poet and he is still alive. He is from Dehradun and he wrote many short stories and novels. And this is the most recommended story from his book. So in this story, he was a lover of nature. So you might have seen in Granny's Tree Climbing also, he talked about nature. And in this lesson also, he is going to tell you that his grandfather was having a habit of keeping unusual pets. Means in his pets, he was having a python from a white mice also. So he wanted to keep Toto as a pet. And what happened after that? All pets are not equal. Some are mischievous also. Oh, Dhruv has joined. Wait, let me admit him. How many of you want to keep pet? कोई नहीं, कोई पेट नहीं रखना चाहता. Okay, this is a humorous and adventurous story of a naughty monkey whose name is Toto. The writer's grandfather bought the monkey from a Tonga driver. The pranks played by Toto have been narrated in an interesting way and make the story a must read for us. You all will enjoy this story because Tutu has created so many problems for everyone. Dhruv is not admitting what problem he is facing. Now, listen to the text. Grandfather bought Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of 5 rupees. The Tonga driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough, and the monkey looked so out of place there that grandfather decided he would add the little fellow to his private zoo. See, Tonga driver means Tonga driver. Who's Tonga driver? Horse cart is known as Tonga, and driver means the person who drives it. Feeding trough, a large container for feeding animals. You might have seen, if you have seen the cows in shade or the people who are selling milk, cows or buffaloes, they have their feeding trough with them. The writer's grandfather purchased Toto from a Tonga driver with the sum of how much money he paid?
5
कितने पैसों में
rupees.
खरीदा उसने? 5 rupees. क्योंकि Tonga driver had tied this little monkey to red-colored monkey to a feeding trough, and so that he could not run away. When the writer's grandfather saw the monkey, he had a desire to add him in the collection of animals which he had in his zoo at home. He was very fond of keeping pets also. Toto was a pretty monkey. In 7, what is the name of the lesson? Anybody can tell me? Same lesson is there in class 7. What is the name of the lesson? Monkey trouble.
Man, the monkey trouble.
Yes. Toto was a pretty monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were a pearly white, were very often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled in the sun for many years. I will explain the lines also. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked, and his tail, while adding to his good looks, grandfather believed a tail would add to anyone good looks, also served as a third hand. He could use it to hang from a branch, and it was capable of scooping up and any delicacy that might be out of reach of his hands. Anglo-Indian means a person relating to both Britain and India. That is Anglo-Indian. Pickled, food that is preserved in vinegar. आचार जिसे कह सकते हो, मुरब्बा, अचार, ये सब जो होते हैं उन्हें धूप में सुखा के रखा जाता है. Scooping up means lifting. You might take a pencil with you and write the meanings in your book itself. The writer gives a description of Toto here. He had bright, shiny eyes which were full of mischief. Means Toto was a mischievous monkey. The eyebrows were deeply set on his face. His teeth were like pearls. Can you tell me which figure of speech has been used here? Anyone? His teeth were like pearl.
Ma'am, personification.
No. Think again.
Simile.
Ma'am, simile.
Of course, it is simile. See, that day only I told you, personification means when human qualities are taken to talk about non-living things or inanimate objects, then only the figure of speech will be personification. Here, like is used. When there is comparison between two objects and as or like words are used, then it is simile. So it is simile here. He had a long tail. Many ladies belonging to Anglo-Indian community got scared when they saw his teeth, which were displayed when he smiled. Toto's hands were dry and wrinkled, as if they had been dried in the sun. Like pickled vegetable, he had a long tail. The writer's grandfather thought that the tail added to the good looks of an animal. कहते हैं ना कि पूंछ से ही जानवर जो है वो उसकी सुंदरता को बढ़ा देता है, पूंछ जानवरों की. Toto's tail was like a third hand for him. Where Toto's hand was unable to reach, he used his tail to complete his job. Complete his job means creating mischief. क्योंकि वो तो mischievous था, वो हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ करने के ताक में ही रहता था. It helped him. Toto's tail was like a third hand for him. It helped him hang from the branch of a tree. He also used it to lift objects which were beyond his hand's reach. Grandmother always fussed when grandfather brought home some new bird or animal. See, grandmother was fed up with grandfather because he used to bring pets for her. And now there is no place in the house to keep any pet. And Tutu was more than one. His mischief are unlimited. You will see in the lesson. So it was decided that Toto's presence should be kept a secret from her until she was in a particularly good mood. Grandfather and narrator both decided that we are not going to tell grandmother that we have again bought a pet. So it was a secret. Grandfather and I put him away in a little closet opening into my bedroom wall, where he was tied securely, or so we thought, to a peg fastened into the wall. Peg means a hook. Hook के सहारे उसे बांध दिया था और उसको क्लोजेट में. The writer's grandmother was against the grandfather's attitude of bringing new pets, birds and animals. So grandfather thought not to disclose this thing to the grandmother, and both of them decided to keep Tutu in a little cupboard in the writer's room. And in order to be sure that Toto did not escape, they tied him to a hook in the wall. उन्होंने एक वॉल में पेग लगा के हुक लगा के उसे फंसा दिया था ताकि ये भागे नहीं. A few hours later, when grandfather and I came back to release Toto, we found that the walls, which had been covered with some ornamental paper chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick and plaster. इतने देर में उसने क्या किया टोटो ने? He used to take out the bricks of the wall and plaster also with his nails and hand. The peg in the wall had been wrenched from its socket. जो हुक लगाया था उसे भी निकाल के फेंक दिया. And my school blazer, which had been hanging there, was in shreds. School blazer को काट के टुकड़े टुकड़े कर दिया था. He made it into pieces. Which had been hanging there was in shreds. I wondered what grandmother would say, but grandfather didn't worry. He seemed pleased with Toto's performance. See, sometimes when we are keeping pet, we are playing with them, and when they are doing mischief, we used to enjoy it. क्योंकि हमें लगता है कि अगर ये मस्ती नहीं करेगा तो अच्छा नहीं है. Means he is not very much familiar with the environment, or he is not creating any problem for anyone. But Tutu was more than required. ये जितना चाहिए था. Very good, Dhruv. I really appreciate your effort that you have switched on the video. A few hours later, a writer was wondered that what they are going to tell grandmother about it. Ornamental, decorative. Naked means uncovered. Wrenched, broke. Socket, attachment. Shreds cut into thin pieces or slices. The writer and his grandmother went to Toto after a few hours. The sight was shocking. Toto had torn the decorative wallpaper. He had broken the hook and had escaped from his binding. Also, he tore the writer's blazer into thin pieces. उसने सब चीजों को निकाल दिया था, हुक को निकाल दिया था, and the blazer coat of the writer, स्कूल का जो blazer था, उसे काट के छोटे-छोटे pieces में बना दिया था. दीवार का plaster और ईंट भी निकाल दिया था. He is clever, said grandfather. Given time, I am sure he could have tied the torn pieces of your blazer into a rope and made his escape from the window. Grandmother said, grandfather was delighted to see his mischief to Toto's adventure. He felt that Toto was very clever. He said that if they would have given him more time, he would have tied the thin pieces of the writer's torn blazer and make it a rope and would have escaped out of the window. The grandfather was quite, this is over. His presence in the house is still a secret. Toto was now transferred to a big cage in the servants' quarters, where a number of grandfather's pets lived very sociably together. Then both of them decided to transfer Toto to a big cage
Ma'am, kahan pe hai?
where many pets of grandfather were living in that shed. These are the names of the pets who were living there sociably: a tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a tame squirrel, and for a while my pet goat. But the monkey wouldn't allow any of his companions to sleep at night. So grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun next day, I told you that Ruskin Bond belonged to Dehradun. Next day, to collect his pension in Saharanpur, decided to take him along. See, next day, grandfather had to go for collecting his pension from Saharanpur. So he decided to make some arrangement for Toto so that he will not create any problem for other animals who were living in the shed. Toto was shifted to the servant quarter. Page number, I have the book of NCERT. Wait, I am telling you page number. Eight.
Ma'am, which paragraph?
Page number 8.
Paragraph?
Toto was shifted to servant quarter. He was put in a cage. He would live with the other pets in grandfather's zoo. The zoo comprised of a tortoise, a pair of rabbits. Saharanpur next day, he decided to take Toto along. He was unmanageable. He decided to take Toto with him as he wanted to make some arrangement for him. But he was knowing that Toto was beyond anyone's reach. And if he went to Saharanpur, he will create problem for grandmother or the narrator. Unfortunately, I couldn't accompany grandfather on that trip, but he told me about it afterwards. The narrator was not with grandfather. He heard from grandfather only. A big black canvas kit bag was provided for Toto. They decided to put Toto in a big bag of canvas. Canvas bag, you are understanding, that is jute. The bag made from jute. This with some straw at the bottom became his new abode. Abode means home. उसके रहने का नया स्थान बन गया था. नीचे कुछ थोड़े से straw means पुआल रख दिया था और वहीं पे वो उसे बैग में बोरे में भर लिया गया. When the bag was closed, there was no escape. And if something you are putting in a bag and you are just putting it closed, then nothing can escape outside. जो भी रहेगा वो अंदर ही की ओर रहेगा, वो भागेगा नहीं. This with some, Toto could not get his hands through the opening and the canvas was too strong for him to bite. Now he was unable to escape from that bag because the bag was very strong and Toto was unable to bite it with his own teeth. समझ में आ रही है बात सभी को? Hello?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. His efforts to get out only had the effect of making the bag roll about on the floor or occasionally jump into the air. Only he can come out of the bag by rolling on the ground and jumping out into the air. An exhibition that attracted a curious crowd of onlookers on the Dehradun railway platform. Means when Tutu started doing that, people wanted to see what is there in the bag. And there was a crowd of onlookers when grandfather went to the platform of Dehradun, from where he has to go to Saharanpur. Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur. But while grandfather was producing his ticket at the railway turnstile, Toto suddenly poked his head out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide grin. Grin means laugh. Toto remained in the bag जब तक कि सहारनपुर नहीं आ गया. जैसे ही सहारनपुर आया, he and when the ticket collector was asking from grandfather to give ticket for the for his or what he is having, then he gave a grin to the ticket collector. Turnstile means a mechanical gate consisting of revolving horizontal arm fixed to a vertical post, that is turnstile, allowing only one person at a time to pass through. You might have seen एक राउंड सा रहता है, उसमें सिर्फ एक आदमी घुसता है और इधर से गेट को घुमा देने से, that is called turnstile. इसको लिख लो if you have pencil. A mechanical gate, write it. A mechanical gate consisting of revolving horizontal arms fixed to a vertical post, comma, allowing only one person at a time to pass through. The poor man was taken aback, but with great presence of mind and much to grandfather's annoyance, he said, "Sir, you have a dog with you. You will have to pay for it accordingly." Suppose you are taking your pets like dogs and all with you by train, then you have to give the ticket for that pet also. The ticket collector asked the grandfather, "You are having dog with you, so you have to give the ticket for this dog also." Annoyance means to anger someone. The ticket collector was astonished to see a monkey in grandfather's bag. He recovered quickly and asked grandfather to pay the ticket money for traveling with her dog. But it was the monkey. In vain did grandfather take Toto out of the bag. In vain did he try to prove that a monkey did not qualify as a dog. Grandfather decided not to do anything. He didn't want to argue with ticket collector. Toto was classified as a dog by the ticket collector and 3 rupees was the sum handed over as his fare. How much money the grandfather handed to the ticket collector as the fare of Toto?
3 rupees.
3 rupees.
And he decided not to argue with the ticket collector, because whatever attempt he will do, then it will take time and Toto will create some situation where grandfather will be caught in some problem. Vain means an unsuccessful attempt. Quadruped, an animal which has 4 feet. Fare, ticket price. Grandfather was unsuccessful in explaining to the ticket collector that Toto was a monkey and not a dog. He insisted that Toto was not even an animal with 4 feet. But the ticket collector was firm that Toto fell in the category of dogs. Ticket collector को लग रहा था कि टोटो वो जो है वो डॉग ही की कैटेगरी में आता है, क्वाड्रूपेड है, 4 पैरों वाला जानवर। Then grandfather had to pay 3 rupees for Toto's ticket. Then grandfather, just to get his own back, took from his pocket our pet tortoise and said, "What must I pay for this, since you charge for all animals?" In between, to get his own back is an idiom. Write it, to take revenge. Grandfather was disappointed, and in order to take revenge from the ticket collector, he took out his pet tortoise from his pocket. जो उन्होंने पॉकेट में रखा था tortoise को, tortoise was also his pet one. उसे निकाला और पूछा, he asked if he was supposed to buy a ticket for it too. क्या उन्हें उसके लिए भी टिकट लेना पड़ेगा, tortoise के लिए भी? The ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, prodded it with his forefinger, gave grandfather a pleased and triumphant look, and said, "No charge, it is not a dog." Means सिर्फ कुत्तों के ही चार्ज लगते थे, but Toto was not a dog. लेकिन उसे था कि ये quadruped है तो इसका पैसा लगेगा. Prodded means pushed. Write it in your book with pencil. Prodded means pushed. The ticket collector took a close look at the tortoise, pushed it slightly, and announced that grandfather was not required to buy a ticket for it, as it did not fall in the category of a dog. When Toto was finally accepted by grandmother, he was given a comfortable home in the stable. When grandfather returned to Dehradun, then slowly, or in this way or that way, grandmother was also able to know about some unusual pet which has come in the house of grandmother. तो उन्हें पता लग गया था कि कुछ ना कुछ दाल में काला है, and they are trying to hide something. तो जब उन्हें पता लग गया तो इसको एक स्टेबल दिया गया रहने के लिए, where he had for a companion the family donkey Nana. What is the name of the donkey?
Nana.
Nana.
Name of donkey. Nana.
Ma'am, Nana.
You are not seeing in the book? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Nana is the name of the donkey. तो नाना के साथ इसे शिफ्ट कर दिया गया. Where he had for companion the family donkey Nana, on Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather paid him a visit to see if he was comfortable. To his surprise, he found Nana without apparent cause, pulling at her halter and trying to keep her head as far as possible from a bundle of hay. See what Toto did in the stable. The stable means building set apart and adapted for keeping horses. Halter is a word that means a strap or loop placed around the head of a horse or other animal. जो loop या strap जैसा बंधा होता है head के पास, उसे कहते हैं. Used for leading or tethering it. One day, grandfather wanted to just take a visit of stable where he shifted the mischievous monkey Toto. He decided to go there, and what he found that she allotted him space in the stable along with the family donkey Nana. On the first night in the stable, grandfather visited Toto. He found Nana restless, pulling its rope in order to stay away from the heap of hay. What monkey did here? उसने उसे खाना ही नहीं दिया. जो हे रखा था खाने के लिए घास फूस, उसका उसे नहीं खाने दिया. Grandfather gave Nana a slap across her haunches, and she jerked back, dragging Toto with her. He had fastened on to her long ears with his sharp little teeth. Toto and Nana never became friends. उसने जैसे ही उसने grandfather gave her a slap, तो वो घसीटते हुए उसके साथ साथ ये भी आ गया टोटो भी. And he had fastened on to her long ears with his sharp little teeth. What Toto did here? He fastened her long ears with his sharp little teeth. Toto and Nana never became friends. कभी भी वो दोनों दोस्त नहीं बन पाए. Haunches means back. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evenings was the large bowl of warm water given him by grandmother for his bath. ठंड के दिनों में he was given warm water to take a bath by grandmother. And there also one day he did mischief, and we will see. He would cunningly test the temperature with his hand, then gradually step into the bath. First one foot, then the other, as he had seen me doing. Narrator used to test the water, whether it is lukewarm, more warm, or we had to add or mix some cold water. So he also wanted to copy the narrator. वो पहले एक पैर डाल के देखता था, फिर हाथ देख के देखता था. And if the water is all right, then he wanted to go in that. Two boys have left. These two children have left. When the water became cold, he would get out and run as quickly as he could to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. If anyone laughed at him during this performance, Toto's feeling would be hurt, and he would refuse to go on with his bath. One day, Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. Suppose he was taking a bath, and when the water is cold, then he ran quickly to the kitchen fire. Wait.